Welcome to Living the Empowered Life. My name is Yvonne, and this channel is all about bringing you content that's empowering, encouraging and inspiring. On this channel I share with you hints and things to help you live an empowered life, things that I do to live an empowered life. Also, I share with you book reviews of books that I've read in case you want to check them out for yourself. And from time to time, when I go out and about to places of interest or do things of interest, I share them with you on this channel. So if this is the type of content you're looking for, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can be notified of any new uploads. And if you like the content, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. So in today's video, I want to share with you a book that I've recently read, but actually I've had this book for quite a while. It is called Change Agent by Os Hillman. Now, I bought this book back in September 2020, so actually a year and a half ago, something like that. And I finally got round to reading this book and I finished it about a month ago. I paid £5.06 for this book. Other as new copies were going for like £10. Actually, this is a new copy of the book. I was very fortunate actually to get it for £5.06, but other copies of the book was going for £10. And the reason I bought this book is because I read another book by this author called The Joseph Calling a couple of years back, and that book was about, 7 kind of signs to look out for that you've got a Joseph calling on your life. Now, the person Joseph who Os Hillman wrote about obviously is Joseph from the Bible, and I love the story of Joseph. There's so many things that you can learn from it, and I definitely did learn a lot about reading from the Bible story of Joseph and Os Hillman's follow-up book called The Joseph Calling. So when I was listening to a podcast interview with Os Hillman on the Bold Idea podcast, which is absolutely one of my favourite, if not my favourite podcasts of all time. He was talking about the fact that he wrote another book called Change Agent. So that was about a year before I bought the book, and then I just decided that I was going to buy it. So this book is a book by Os from a Christian perspective of what it means to be a change agent. And in this book, he talks about 7 mountains of influence, or 7 spheres of influence that a Christian, if they're looking to be a change agent, should involve themselves in. So the 7 mountains that he talks about in this book are the government, arts and entertainment, family, media, mountain of business, education, and church mountain. And what he does in this book, to begin with, he kind of goes into a bit of a backstory about why Christians are not influential or are at the top of the influential chain in these mountains. He gives examples of, times where Christians were influential in these 7 spheres of influence, but how over time compromising and wanting to fit in with worldly systems has taken away that kind of influence and power. He names compromising as one of the biggest things that has affected the ability for Christians to influence in those areas. So he talks about what a person needs to be a godly change agent. A godly change agent is somebody who seeks God's heart in the matter of different things in relation to these mountains, in the relation to people. A godly agent is somebody who takes time to pray about the issues. And what I really liked about this book is that when he was talking about what it means to be a godly agent, he showed where Christians go wrong in trying to influence others. And one of the ways they go wrong is by being critical of people who are not like themselves, who are not similar to themselves. And he talks about, Jesus being somebody who, even though he was set apart from sin and not influenced by the world's culture and the ways of people in the world, meaning, people of the world, meaning people who are not Christians, he was still able to influence and impact their lives. So, that was really good, the way that he broke it down. And he talks about, how if we want to be a godly change agent, we have to be able to mix with other people doesn't mean that we're influenced by the things that they're doing, their habits, their behaviour, sin, whatever. We have to be able to mix with other people without, preconditions, without putting up all these different things why we can't meet with them, because that is how you are going to influence others for Christ, other people who are not like you. Also in this book, he talks about one of the main things that makes somebody a change agent is somebody who not only has influence, but also somebody who is a problem solver. So finding a way of solving a problem is how actually you gain influence. And it's something that I've read before in other books, like when I was reading about being significant in John Maxwell's book. I did a book review on this channel probably 2 years ago now. So Os Hillman says, we gain influence by being better and by providing solutions to culture leaders and their problems. So he shares about Daniel in the Bible, who was an administrator for the king. And as a matter of fact, Daniel in the Bible was highly favoured by God and ended up being in very favourable position for about 3 different kings. And the way that he became a change agent was that he could interpret the king's dreams. And the king had other people around him that were supposed to be in these roles of being able to interpret these dreams, but because of his influence, because of his favour with God, God gave him insight, God gave him the interpretation to dreams, and because of that, he was raised up quite quickly within the king's ranks. What I love about this book is the way that Os Hillman breaks down the problem, where the problem started. So as I mentioned, how Christians lost influence in these 7 spheres. And what he does actually is give examples of people in those arenas, Christians, who are trying to solve those problems. And what I liked at the end of the chapters as well is that he had questions for the reader about how they can become a change agent in these different spheres of influence. And these questions are interactive. He leaves space for you to write your answers. It really does get you thinking about, making changes in whatever area of calling or purpose that God has placed you. And there's many other things he talks about in this book. He talks about preparing to be a change agent, what it looks like to be a change agent, how you can start, with what you have and where you are. This was actually a very, very good book. It didn't mince its words, really talked about the problem of secular culture and how it is influencing all different parts of life, and talks about how as Christians we can have a real impact and influence in those areas. So this book actually was really good. It's one of those books where I would have to sit down and read again. A lot of information to take in. It's not something that you could sit and read once and then put it down. It's one of those books that kind of creep up on you. You sit down, you read it, and then, reflect on it, and then you get kind of revelation about what you've read. So I definitely will be reading this book again. If you're interested in finding out about what a godly change agent looks like, this book is definitely for you. If you're a Christian who wants to make an impact in your church, your community, in your workplace, and you don't know how, you don't know, where to start, this book is definitely going to be for you. It is an inspiring book. It's an empowering book. It's one of those books, that if you're looking to live an empowered life, regardless of whether you're a Christian or not, this book has something in there for everybody, because it's about impact, it's about influence, it's about empowerment, it's about all those things, especially bringing that betterment to the lives of other people, really taking a stance from God's view and getting that kind of focus and vision from what he says about influence and being a change agent. And I love that. This is one of the things that I definitely am trying to do through all the things that I've been doing with my life. So this book was definitely a good read. So that is it for this video. If you're interested in getting this book, Change Agent, I will leave a link to it below. Until the next video, take care.